previous meeting. The minutes of the 4th of October 2023 are before us today for accuracy. Do any members have any comments?
I see no hands raised, Chair.
Thank you, Tammy. Can I please have a proposer and a seconder?
I propose, Chair.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Jones and Charlotte. Okay, thank you very much both. Can members indicate if they wish to abstain?
No hands are raised, Chair, so the minutes have been approved for accuracy.
Thank you. On to agenda item 4, income generation and process to date. This is a presentation from the Commercial Coordinator, Mr. Andy Griffiths. Andy, if you'd like to go over to you, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for this opportunity. I'll just now share my screen so we can all see the same slides. Just a moment. Okay. So, Chair, my name is Andy or Andrew Griffiths, the Commercial Coordinator for the Council. Just to run through a progress update, really, rather than a process update for income generation. Firstly, a little bit of an introduction to me and the role. The role was created, it was a new role that was created in 2019. I was appointed in mid-November 2019, and a few months later, or a few weeks later, everything changed. The things I was working on came to a bit of a halt because of the pandemic. I was assigned, drafted is too strong a word, into the comms team to help with the communication efforts and strategy of during the pandemic at its height, certainly. I was chipping away at some of the things that I'd started and the ideas I'd had when I joined, and I'd discussed through with Karen Jones and Karen Furlow-Harris on my appointment. And this role then really started to resume last year when I was able to pick things back up and make some progress on a few things, which I will explain next. So before I do that, the role itself is to identify and help develop income generation opportunities for the council. I've formed links with quite a few other councils and my counterparts in other councils. There doesn't seem to be an actual blueprint of best practice. Each local authority does things in their own way, has certain ideas, which is great. I'm a member of a couple of forums, and we share ideas and things that worked, and also with everything that works, there are a few that don't as well. Main focus of mine is on non-statutory services, and the income that is generated goes back into service areas or directorates. So my approach and strategy is two things really: either to develop areas that the council already does or is involved in, and to scope out areas that are new, things that we could be doing that we're not doing, that also have direct benefits to residents and local businesses. So it's not just income generation. That's what I guess I'm judged on. However, there are other things and other benefits income generation does sort of lend itself towards. For instance, residents' lives, community events, and being able to get in touch with local businesses and to understand their needs and offer them opportunities as well, for instance, in promotion and advertising. Also, as I've gone along, I've been able to identify some savings or efficiencies, particularly in the areas specific to my role. An example of that would be commercial advertising, radio advertising, which I've been able to negotiate better deals with. And that's something that's a slight different culture that because I've worked in the private sector and media and advertising most of my career, and that's been a very big learn for me, that things are done slightly differently in the public sector. So I've taken lessons I've learned selling into the public sector and turned that back around, and are able to use that knowledge and experience and negotiate better deals. Key projects that I've been involved in the last 12 to 18 months.
Excuse me, Andy. Sorry, just a second. Through the chair. We just had notification from the Scrutiny Committee that they can't see the slides. Is Councillor Ken Phillips, how is you? Is that just you, or is that everybody?
I can, Tammy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can.
I'm not seeing, I'm just seeing an AG background at the moment.
Right, okay. Are you happy to listen in? They're literally bullet points for Andy's, for an aid memoir to Andy. We can forward them to you after the meeting as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so unique then to you that I'm not sure why it's happening, I'm afraid. Okay, so if you bear with us and just take note if listening, if that's okay.
Sorry, Ken.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Andy.
Continue. Okay. So just to recap, here are some of the things that I've been able to make some progress on over the last 12 months. Some of these things have taken a long time to chip away at because they've involved renegotiating contracts and getting better deals from suppliers. So here's one example, the bus shelter partnership with a company called Clear Channel. Clear Channel is one of the biggest global sellers of advertising, outdoor advertising. You'll see their logos on bus shelters and poster sites. We have already an existing relationship with them based around bus stops. You'll see the what they call A6 ad shell sites on certain bus stops. The majority of bus stops in Neath but Talbot have posters, and they are the type of bus stops that are made of aluminium and glass, and they'll have one panel with an advert, and they are posters inside illuminated cases, and the posters get changed as and when they sell new adverts to different advertising agencies. When I joined, because I'm from that sort of background, I wanted to know what the relationship was and what value we were getting out of it as a council, and the whole relationship had been based on us allowing them to display their adverts in our bus shelters in return for maintenance, repair, and cleansing of those bus shelters. So I thought it was a little bit one-sided, and I thought we can ask for some money here because it's normal that you get commission as the owner of an advertising space. So after a lengthy sort of toing and froing with top people at that company, challenging them for commissions on advertising revenues, some local councils in the UK were already achieving that. I did check that first, and many weren't, majority weren't. So we're now in a position where Clear Channel want to replace some of those advertising poster sites with digital screens, which gives them more benefits. They don't have to send someone along to put a screen change the poster. They can just do it remotely. They can do multiple messages across a day, increases their inventory. So I've negotiated commissions and a contract fee on that. We exchanged the contracts to extend our relationship with them for another 3 years, just before Christmas. So once again, the benefits, as well as the cleansing, repair and maintenance on those bus shelters include a yearly contract fee, an agreed commission fee per screen. We've had as extra value, added value, what they call 2 living roofs. These are roofs with sustainable plants, etc. on the top, and we need to liaise with them as an authority as to where we place those. That's over to planning and environment, and free advertising, which is of value as well. Free advertising meaning a share of their unsold inventory to use for council messaging. There are some terms and conditions. We can't sell it on to third parties, although I did ask, but this primarily can be used for public messaging and things that will benefit the community. It could be, for instance, information about how to get involved with the budget consultation. It could be health messages. It could be any message that is non-commercial, derives from the council and is of benefit to residents as we see it fit. So that's Clear Channel. That was a win there. A roundabout sponsorship scheme. Anybody who I've had dealings with, members and officers over the last, well, over a year or so, will know this. I've actually been going around in circles, to pardon the pun, on this, but we've managed to bring it back in-house after a tender process back in 2011. We contracted an external company based in Yorkshire to sell the advertising space on our roundabouts after gaining planning permission, etc. So we saw revenues start to decrease. There were practical issues with dealing with the company. And in March 2021, I presented a case to members for bringing the scheme in-house, and the decision was made to serve notice on the company and to novate the few remaining contracts over to the council. And since September last year, we're now masters of our own roundabout sponsorships, and new contracts have been issued, and I've been able to make some progress from with that in the last quarter, really. So we've currently 25 roundabouts available for sponsorship in Neath, Talbot, 9 of which is advertisers in place, and 7 actually of those have been sold in the last 6 weeks. So you'll see some popping up, all with the appropriate planning in the next few weeks. The whole approach to this is, again, something that I found probably something that didn't really exist already in a council or a public sector organisation, and that is you've got to be proactive with selling these opportunities. There's no point in just having some information on your website and waiting for the phone to ring, because guess what? The phone doesn't ring. So you've got to ring and contact these people yourselves. And business has changed. So once you've got somebody interested or not interested now, it doesn't mean they're not going to be interested 6 months down the road. There's new businesses happening coming up all the time, and businesses grow and develop as well. So and they like having opportunities presented to them, because there's becoming fewer and fewer opportunities for outdoor advertising and any form of display advertising now, with the consolidation of the newspaper market, and poster sites around an area are generally run by big companies that sell to bigger companies through agencies. So I think I've really discovered there's a real need for local businesses to be able to promote themselves, and those opportunities are something we can help them with, whilst also benefit in terms of the income they can generate as well. So other outdoor advertising assets are also being considered, which also have the dual purpose of generating income, as I say, and promoting local businesses. These can be from roadside banners. We trialled some banners out on Aberavon seafront back for the Diamond Jubilee, and it was the first time any flags had been put up on the existing lampposts, and realised that the lampposts are not great, because the way they point, and they're static, the arms are static on the lampposts, and every flag format we tried was ripping. So we need to go back to the drawing board on that. But it adds a bit of colour as well to the seafront. I've just got a couple more slides to go. Events have potential to generate income, and also can benefit communities and businesses. If we take the same proactive approach with events, it means we can form partnerships with community groups, for instance, who are already doing things. We can act as a catalyst. When I say we, I mean the council can act as a catalyst and bring people together, bring sponsorships in for events. And we did, I did organise a few events last year, including the Margam Park Margam 10K for the Mayor's charities, and the Mayor's COVID Response Awards, which took place in the Orangery, and that was in place of a larger evening event that we couldn't do because of the COVID restrictions at the time last spring. Both events were self-funding through commercial sponsorship income, and sometimes there's a surplus there too. So, you know, without gaining that income, we wouldn't have found the money to do the events. So it is your stereotypical win-win in that scenario. Other sponsorships and advertising income helped cover costs for the Festival of Remembrance in November, the Christmas concert, the Mayor's Christmas charity concert in December, just gone, and the school's football tournament in Llandarcy at the Sports Academy, which our leader attended on November the 27th. They couldn't find the money to put a big screen so that the children taking part in the tournament could watch the Wales v Iran match. So I stepped in and got a sponsor, spelled the benefits out to that local company, and the money that we brought in from them paid for the screen, the PA system, and other bits and pieces as well. Other events lined up this year. We've got the apart from the Park Margam 10K, which is on the 12th again this year. When we're developing that, the Mayor's Citizen Awards take place at the Orangery on April the 21st, and something I've wanted to do for the last couple of years, and we're going for it in August in the bank holiday. And I realise some members this might be the first time they've heard about this, and that is a Wave World Record event on Aberavon Beach, totally sponsored, self-funding, and will bring a record that I helped set up 20 odd years ago back to Neath, Talbot. Other projects and opportunities. I've got a format for an awards ceremony. I think we should do a youth awards that will gain income, fees and charges review. I'm working with Chris and Hugh on that. It's important that we get a centralized ledger together where we can take an overview on all our fees and charges and benchmark them again against as well against private sector offerings and other councils. Margam Park is a quiet project. When that comes to fruition, I will be involved with the commercial aspect of that. I've been asked by Paul Walker and the team. Similarly, Knoll Park, I was involved at the start when we started looking at new directions that facility could go, and what developments would be of benefit to park visitors and income generation. Leisure services, I know with the reorganisation of leisure services, there's an opportunity for me to add value there. Plus additional events and partnerships and collaborations, but we need to take a proactive approach in a lot of these things, where instead of waiting for people to come to us to ask if they can use our facilities, we've got to go out and fly the flag and show people and actually sort of find out what they want and how we can meet those needs and benefit from the income they can generate. There's lots of things we can be doing if we, but the important thing is if we decided there's something's worth doing, you know, on a council-wide level, then we just need to go for it. It's very often too easy to think of reasons not to do something and to create hurdles for yourself than actually, you know, think of the reasons and the ways that you can do something. And that's me. Thanks, Chair.
Diolch yn fawr, Andy. Thank you very much. Do members have any questions for the officer, please? I see there's nothing at the moment. Can I kick one off? I'm just interested. Bus shelters are a big issue of mine in my ward at the moment, and I can see that we're about to generate a bit of income. Will the finances generated by that be earmarked for replacements of bus shelters in other wards that don't have the aluminium ones at the moment, or is the money going to be spent generally?
I think that's a question for someone else above my pay grade, to be honest. I generate the income. You can do what you feel fit.
Yep. So what we've agreed is that the income from these will actually go back to the service area. So it'll go back to David Griffiths to within the bus shelter budget. So it'll be up to him then to decide how to spend it. Yeah.
Thank you, Hugh. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much. We have next Ken Phillips, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question on the sort of selling of advertising on roundabouts and things like that. Two issues that strike me as potential opportunities. I don't know, to what extent they've been explored. Firstly, the fact that in my ward we have there is Fabian Way, which is the gateway to Swansea, which seems like a major opportunity if we can put advertising on that to advertise both for businesses to gain income from businesses from Swansea and to advertise to people going in and out to Swansea rather than just the sort of local market. And also similarly, we have the railway main line running through Neath Talbot. Is there advertising space we could utilise, we could sell that's facing onto the railway?
Thank you, Ken.
Should I answer that? I have to be honest, the railway, I've not even considered that, but I would imagine there would be a whole bunch of restrictions on that. But if it's worth scoping out. In terms of Fabian Way, we are looking at, I've got a paper that we're discussing with regards to sites along Fabian Way, who owns what parcels of land, etc. And also that's roadside hoardings, if you like. There's a number of companies that are dead keen on putting digital screens into that area, but again, it has to go through planning, etc. The roundabout outside Amazon is a complicated one, but I'm going to put planning application through on that to see where I get with it. And some trunk routes are not local authority, as you'll be aware. They're sort of South Wales or Trunk Road Agency or Sutra. And then the other thing then is lamppost banners on Fabian Way going into Swansea Council, and I've got a good working relationship with my counterpart in Swansea. They've been able to get through their planning the permission to put banners, flag banners on the central reservation going into Swansea. You would have seen them advertising. They're quite small banners really, and they do get beaten up a bit in bad weather. But we have had requests for similar things around our patch of Fabian Way as well, which I need to follow up and look at the planning implications. So there are, your thoughts are, perfectly logical that we should be able to move forward onto those things as well. And look for assets. For some people, advertising hoardings are just an eyesore. For others, it's a way of promoting their business, and it's a case by case judgment, I suppose. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Andy. Are you okay with that, Ken?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Chair. Just to say, I think it's worth looking at the railway track issue to see what we can do, because it does seem like an opportunity. We got lots of people coming past, particularly near towards the stations when things are slowing down and speeding up, and they're moving quite slowly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ken. Next up is Councillor Charlotte Galsworthy, please.
Hi, all. Hi, and I'm just a bit. Obviously, the advertising thing on our roundabouts haven't really taken off over the years. So obviously, there's the legal complications around advertising on our main roads as well. And the other thing is that I for one wouldn't want to actually see it advertising being the ISO in our communities either, because I know that, you know, some people could look at it as like a fly tipping issue, really, like the banners now that people put up, and you know, our teams are actually taking them down. Also, in regards to the awards and that, in the previous awards, I was quite horrified, to be honest, and I know made it quite clear then, when it's like an award ceremony is usually for people to enjoy and be around, especially like the person who's won the award. And it was like something like £25 a ticket to go down the Orangery and that kind of stuff. I don't see award ceremonies as being basically unaffordable to make income generation for a local authority. That's my view, because to me, I think, you know, it's most people have an award, and it's such a good thing. They want their family and everyone else there, not like only allowed so many chairs and that. So that's my concern. The other thing that I haven't seen, I know it's obviously non-statutory, but for me, income generation skills are actually needed a lot in obviously some of our statutory services. It's the way of thinking more than now non-statutory. So again, I think I would prefer you to be looking at how we can be more innovative in how we can deliver our services, because lots of our staff might not have the entrepreneurial income generation sort of skill sets, because they're the ones delivering the services. So it's just what obviously I've seen now today.
Thank you, Charlotte. Back over to Andy, please.
Yeah, if I can, on the second point, I'm happy to get involved. Until now, it's not been my brief really, but you know, I'll get deployed where I can add value. So I'm up for that. On the first point, the awards actually for the attendees, for the sponsors and the winners of the categories as chosen by the mayor and a judging panel, it is a free event. So we only were charging for anyone else who came along. So it works basically like this. Say there's 10 awards. In fact, there's going to be 11 this time. Each category is sponsored by a different commercial sponsor. That sponsor for their package gets 4 places rather at a table for 10. They're joined then by 5 others. That's the winner plus 4 of their guests, and there's no charge for them at all. Any extra seats that we have available, or if a company wants to come and buy a table, they can do that as well. So there isn't. We're not asking the winners or their families to pay for tickets, really, and that's how the event is structured. It's quite an expensive event to put on, and you know we cover it, our costs and the venue hire, etc., in the same way as any other commercial outside organisation would do when hiring the Orangery. So, and it's a you know, sit down 2-course meal with Bucks for his reception as well, and it's on a Friday night this year, and we've had some really good positive feedback from sponsors who are coming on board to support it again this year. So it's a kind of format that works, but I just wanted to clear up the fact that we're not charging tickets for family members or for the winners in that respect.
Thank you, Andy. Charlotte, are you happy with the responses?
Yeah, I was fully aware of that, but what I'm saying as a local authority doing awards, I think it should be the, you know, not the usual suspects around the tables paying, who obviously lots of them pay out of whether or not it's like grants they've had in, some of them, which are the voluntary sector out of their budget, which is public money anyway. And the businesses sometimes are not the people that, you know, you want around them awards, because most of the awards are done from the community for the community. Or, you know, I might be on a totally different wavelength here, but I just think that the Mayor Awards are community awards and not corporate. And again, it's like the speakers you had the last time. How much did you pay for speakers and that? Do you know what I mean? So it's like if you actually take the costs away of what it was, I prefer to have an affordable event rather than the income generator, and that's all.
Okay, Charlotte, yeah, they've noted the point, your points from there. Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
fine.
Lovely. They made a note of them. Okay, thank you. Next up, Councillor Carol Clement Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair. To be fair to Andrew, I've been working with him very closely for the last, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 years now. He's been a one-man band and he's been passed from pillar to post. I mean, he was taken completely off his role during COVID to work with media. He's very passionate and he's been working on some of this stuff for a very long time. Unfortunately, there hasn't been that much of a budget to work with, and sometimes you have to speculate to accumulate. The legal stuff with these bus stops has been horrendous. It's taken an extremely long time, but it's coming to fruition, and it means the council can make money for nothing. It's making money now where it didn't make money before. And he's done a superb job on it, and I'd like to thank him for all the work he's put into it. He's done a lot in income generation in the Knoll. So I'm not here to blow smoke up Andrew's bum, but just for you to know how much work he has actually been doing behind the scenes. A lot of it sounds easy, but it takes an awful lot of work, making sure it's all legal, it's all done correctly, etc. As for the awards, the idea was that because there isn't much or hasn't been much money and still isn't been much money within the authority, it was to try and make them happen, but to try and make them pay for themselves. Any income that's generated is a bonus. So the authority wasn't picking up the tab for that, because it can come to an awful lot of money. As for we have looked at advertising, Councillor Phillips, on tall boards on the M4. I don't know if you've probably seen some of that, especially if you go up to Birmingham Way and that. And I'm sure just switching that on its head, the train line's the other side. So if we were to put them up on the M4, I'm sure it could be done for the main line as well. And it's a really good point. So, like I say, to be fair to Andrew, it's been very limited resources that he's had. He's done work in Margam, he's done work in the Knoll, and they have been very lucrative. I think that myself, I've tried to get more staff for him to enable him to be able to do that proactive work to try to get the advertising in. So I hope you don't mind that, but just for councillors that haven't met Andrew before, it's from what he's just told you, the work that's gone on in the background has been immense. So, and thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for those comments, Carol. Yeah, I think I'd agree in my position. I think all the members should be very grateful for the work that Andrew does, and hopefully it's ongoing. We'll continue, hopefully, to support him as much as we can. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Just one little one back from me. It's a point, it is not a question. On about roundabouts, Llandarcy, the turning off to Skewin, there are a substantial amount of businesses already advertising on the wooden fence. So I'm sure when they get a letter from us saying they've got to pay for it, that will be worth going into, I think.
Well, enforcement, I think, is parallel to getting money in, because you do get people saying, why should I advertise on a roundabout when I can go and stick a sign up? They've got a point, really.
It looks like we're all done on that at the moment. So the presentation is for noting. Okay, thank you, Andy. On to agenda item 5, the consultation on the 2023-24 budget proposals. Your papers for this item have been circulated via a supplement. Hugh, do you have anything further to add?
Just to add, Chair, that the purpose of today is to give members an opportunity to look at any proposals relating to the Chief Executive's Directorate. So included within the Chief Executive's Directorate is the sort of Finance Division, which comes under myself, Digital Services under Chris, Legal and Democratic under Craig, and we've got Sheena, who's responsible for People and Organisational Development. So it's those areas for discussion today, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Just before we go to questions, if any members have any further comments about income generation suggestions or saving opportunities, can you please raise them at this point? Thank you. We'll go to members have any questions for the officer, please. I'll come up with a question then. Sorry, it's on page 24 of the supplement budget. Let me just get into it a second. We know that we've provisional settlement of 7.1%. I noticed Digital Services for updating his 100,000 has been put aside for there. Do we have any guarantee that if the provisional settlement changes that will still be protected, please?
Thank you, Chair. That's a good question. Indications from the Welsh Government are that the final settlement will not be lower than the provisional, so therefore that should be protected, so we should be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Are there any other questions now? Okay. We have decided not to scrutinise any items on the Cabinet agenda subcommittee. Just a word for item 7, the forward working programme then, Tammy.
Yes, Chair, it's been circulated to members with your paperwork. So if you have any queries, feel free to email in or let me know now. Thank you. And that's just for noting, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. With there's no further items on the agenda, that ends the business for today. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr all for attending, and obviously look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you everyone for your contributions.